right, welcome to AMP for Email, the 411. Everything you've been dying to know. I am April Mullen. I'm the Director of Strategic Insights at SparkPost, and I'm one of the co-founders of Women of Email. And I'm Jen Capstraw, President and co-founder of Women of Email. If you're not familiar with us, we're a 501c3 nonprofit association for women whose careers touch the email marketing niche. Many of you are here right now. Any members? Yeah, that's what I want to hear. We got stickers in the back. We're going to take a group picture at the very beginning of the lunch break in front of the Step and Repeat, so please join us for that. Also, we want to give a special shout out to our friend John Harmer. He's a product manager at Google. A lot of this content and a lot of these insights came directly from him. He wasn't able to join us here today, so he has given us permission to share this with you. So what are we going to be talking about today? Oh yeah, PowerPoint.
You're excited now, but some of our fonts are going to be broken, I promise that.
Yeah, our fonts are going to be wonky because of the technical difficulties we had, so just bear with us and imagine that it looks just as cool as that transition. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring some context to the history of email and where AMP fits into that. Then we're going to explain what the heck is AMP for Email. There does seem to be some confusion among some folks who are a little bit less technical. Then we've got some really cool examples of AMP in action. We're excited about AMP. We're freakishly excited about AMP, right? No surprise, that's why we're up here talking about it. So we're going to explain why and what we think it means for the future of email, but also we're hearing a lot of concerns. Not everyone is as stoked as we are, right? So we're going to address those concerns as well. Some of them we can debunk. Some of them are very valid. And then we're going to talk about what you can do now if you're interested in AMP for Email. All right, so join us in our time machine. Ooh. All right, there was a little hint about this guy in yesterday's presentation, but this guy, Gary, we can't figure out how to pronounce his last name. Thurk?
I think it's Turk.
Turk. He is my LinkedIn connection. I did send him a connection. He accepted, so we are very close friends now. He sent the world's first email marketing message in 1978 to 400 people. It produced $13 million in computer equipment sales.
Gangbuster RPE.
Right? Right from the get-go, our ROI was unmatched. And then fast forward to 1996, Hotmail was introduced. Notice the HTML is capitalized in Hotmail. So before Hotmail was introduced, the only folks who had email were people who were using it for work, or you had a dial-up connection at home and you were using your ISP. Hotmail was the great democratizer. We all had access to email, and that's really when email marketing as we know it today was born. Now, I dug back into my old Yahoo account, which I got after my Hotmail account, to 2006. This is the oldest email marketing message I could find that still had live image links. Thank you for never turning off that server, right? 1-800-Flowers. So that's what email looked like in 2006. This is what it looks like today. So you can see a little bit, we've advanced a little bit, right? The original one looks a little bit like a website and a flyer kind of smushed together. And we've made some advances. You can scroll down and show you what the rest of this message looks like. Yeah, pretty simple, straightforward. So we've had a lot of advances in email since 1996, since 2006. Mobile technology has really driven us forward over the last, say, like 7-8 years. We've got technology that enables really cool automation and personalization. We're seeing some experimentation with interactive email, kinetic email, but here's where the fonts go completely wonky and you can't even say what they say. You will get a copy of this and you'll see exactly what it says, but essentially how far have we actually come, right? Are we using all of these innovations all the time? No. In many ways, our email strategies are kind of the same.
And it's been different when you look at what's happened with the web and mobile apps, what we think of as traditionally mobile apps. But here is the shiny thing that I want us all to keep in mind, and that is email is the universal mobile app. We don't typically think about it that way, but it's preloaded on your smartphone. All you have to do is enter your credentials, and all of the nice emails come flowing through. So we are actually app managers here, or app developers here, and we have a ton of users. So the adoption is there. A lot of app creators have a situation where they don't have enough people using their app or engaging with their app. We have, what, 3.8 billion email users? Yeah, and almost 300 million emails sent daily, which my company sends 40% of those, so large cannon here. And so, we don't have this issue where we don't have people in our app using our app. They are using our app, and it's called email. And the other thing that has plagued traditional mobile apps, not the email app, but traditional mobile apps, is that many of them are used only once, and then they're deleted off the device when activity goes away. So when someone's like, I don't really use this app anymore, they delete it off their phone. No one's deleting their email app, people. Like, people are checking email, and the app is remaining on the device. So I wanted to kind of give that mind shift to all of us that we're more elevated than we think.
So does anyone remember when Gmail introduced tabs and email died?
It was rapture.
Yes, everyone was freaking out.
times.
But then Gmail introduced the grid view. So if you were around as an email marketer in 2014, you were probably interested in this, playing around with it. I definitely was. Grid view was a way for our promotional emails in that tab to look very visual. And it was really interesting that Gmail was giving us some love, because we are convinced that all of the email clients, all of the ISPs hate our guts, right? So we're like, oh, well, they're interested in us. But grid view was kind of wonky. It never came out of beta. It never looked this good. No one ever quite got it right. Adoption, it was difficult to adopt. And so it died just as quickly as it was born. And so in 2015, so it lasted less than a year. So the following year, I wrote an article about it for Media Post. Why grid view is good for us, even though it's dead. And I want to highlight some of the points that I made there. So first of all, it was evidence that Gmail cared about promotional messages. Google cares, or Gmail users rather, care about our promotional messages, and that's why Google is caring about promotional messages. The connection has been made. And even though this has gone away, I thought something good is going to happen when it comes to Gmail and possibly other email clients. And we should be optimistic about that. What it is, I wasn't really sure, but it was clear to me Google has a sincere interest in delivering email users the most useful experience possible. Commercial messages are part of that. Google's just taking their time figuring out what that is, and 4 years later, y'all, AMP is it.
It's the micro apps. We're micro app developers. It's AMP.
It is. So if you're unfamiliar with AMP for email, what is it? Well, folks get it confused with AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages, and also folks get it confused with, it says way down here in the bottom when the fonts work, AMP script, right? Salesforce Marketing Cloud AMP script has absolutely nothing to do with AMP for email. So that's just a proprietary coding language. It's irrelevant. So AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages, were introduced in 2016, and it was just a stripped down HTML framework to help content load really fast on mobile devices. And now AMP has expanded into a much larger framework that includes AMP for email that makes things like this possible, and it launched just last year. And this is an actual AMP message. So what's going on here? It's a calculator. So you click on what you want to finance, you pop in how much money you're looking to finance, and it gives you instant calculations on that. This is cool, right? So AMP for email is bringing really engaging experiences to email. Up-to-date information can be called at the moment of open, and you can interact and take action on those emails. By the way, this particular example that Google was lovely enough to share with us more than doubled the click rate on here. And so engagement spikes when you have excellent use cases for AMP for email.
And there are quite a few email clients that support AMP for email today. So, this idea that Gmail is hoarding the knowledge and we don't trust them, they've actually opened the conversation with their competitors. So we have mail.ru, Outlook, which includes Live, Hotmail, What else am I missing?
MSN.
MSN.
Excludes the desktop client.
Not the desktop client, but that will probably follow at some point. And then Yahoo in the domains that they have. Those are coming soon. So Gmail has opened a dialogue. They want to see standardization happen across the various environments because they want this to be used by everyone, not just at Gmail. So I think that kind of hints to us that maybe we might want to trust them on this.
This is revolutionary. These are direct competitors working with one another, right? And we've never seen anything like that in our industry before.
We also have quite a few email solutions that support AMP for email. I said I work for SparkPost. We send 40% of the world's email. And with all these other providers thrown in there, we're halfway there to the volume of email happening daily is actually enabled via these solutions. And so technology providers are starting to catch on that this is something that people want, and they're starting to get this built into their platforms. And I know several others are in the works with it, like I think Salesforce is considering it.
That's top secret information. You didn't hear it here.
We don't know anything.
Also, there's a lot of concern that AMP is really hard to do. It's another coding language, and that's true for very sophisticated use cases, but there are email building solutions with cool WYSIWYGs that already exist with drag and drop AMP functionality. You can use Stripo right now to build AMP emails. Bee Editor, they're gonna have it very, very soon. I'm not familiar with Express Pigeon, but the good folks at Google say they've got it as well. Is anyone using Express Pigeon? Okay, you haven't heard of it either. All right, it's not just me, but I'm definitely gonna check them out. All right, so are you ready for some hella cool examples of AMP for email in action? Yeah, I love this conference.
I know. You're our people.
This is the one example that probably a lot of you have already experienced firsthand. So once upon a time, if you created a Google Doc and somebody commented on it, you got an email and the call to action would drive you back to Google Docs and you could see the comment. Or if somebody commented with your name, tagged you in something, you would be driven back to Google Docs to look at it. Now those comments are in line right inside of Gmail or any of those other solutions that support AMP for email. And you can reply. And what's really interesting is this actually decreased visits to the Docs application, but they considered it a good thing. That wasn't a KPI for success in this context. So as AMP applications become more widespread, your success metrics might change.
And here's an example of AMP for email accordion. I have to give a shout out to Eric Lepetit. I don't know if any of you know him, but his team developed this. And what I love about this email is we try to say, like, let's not make emails too heavy, let's not make people scroll too much. And they've actually built out this accordion feature where as you're scrolling, you can tap to continue to load the images and expand this email as you go. And word from the Google team, this email performed very, very well. They had a high number of people that scrolled through the whole email and they were able to, they tapped the accordion buttons all the way down. So super high engagement. I think there was good sales from it too.
And this is one of those drag and drop functions that you can use right in one of those WYSIWYG editors right now. Also, important to note that this is an extra MIME type. So currently we send a text version and an HTML version. This is a third one. Now there's 3, and there's the AMP version. And the beauty of this that's very different from interactive email, where you have to really create that graceful degradation. It's very difficult to do. With AMP, if there's no AMP support within the email client that's being used by your subscriber, it's going to automatically fall back to HTML. And this is another one of those really easy WYSIWYG type functions. It's the carousel, and we're all familiar with these. We see these on websites all the time, so it's an intuitive thing. People know we can just click, and we're going to see more images, and you can see your HTML backup can be whatever you want it to be. One of those images, all of those images, it's up to you.
And this is an example that many of you have probably seen. Seth Weisfield at Pinterest, he created this email, and basically what it does is it allows you to go see your email, which are highly personal and dynamic, by the way, and you can actually go into the email, and instead of having to go into Pinterest to then add things to your pin board, you can actually do that right from the email. So Seth and his team, they were early adopters of this, and we think this example still shines as a really good one. And then Lending Tree, I love this one. When I was in financial services, this would have been awesome. But it's basically a choose your adventure kind of thing. It's a quiz built right into the email where it's asking if you're trying to buy a home or you're currently a homeowner, you want to refinance. And based on how you answer the question, it might ask you more questions after that, or it might give you a recommendation on screen. So it's kind of this dynamic profiling that happens right within the email that's really exciting.
Order confirmation. People are always referring back to order confirmation emails, and we've been able to use solutions like movable ink and open time personalization where an image changes to give you an update on an order status, but this enables live text in real time. So at the moment of open, you can know the status of your order.
And then this is a really great abandoned cart example where they're sending the follow-up, but then they have the product details right within the email. So being able to give your consumers an idea of like the closer look and the more detailed views to help them make the decision to convert. And also you can convert right within the email. Now, email is not a secure communications channel. No, they will not be entering credit card information into a form in the email. But if they have their profile set up where it can submit back to the profile that's hosting the credit card behind a secure login, it's just very seamless, easy one-click ordering that's enabled by this.
This particular example increased sales by 30% for Equid. And Google told us that they had another partner that they worked with on a similar strategy that saw about an 80% lift in conversions using this type of strategy. Could you imagine a single email changing your sales on that level? Superheroes.
Gangbuster.
All right, so we were brainstorming like, what else could you do with AMP? And these are some of the ideas that we came up with over the course of about 2 minutes. We don't have time to talk through all of them, but we're gonna highlight a few. Unsubscribes and opt-down, this is an idea that every single one of your brands can use. If you click on unsubscribe and it's like, hey, we can unsubscribe you from everything, or maybe you just want these few categories. There's a chance to retain them and give them control over their communication relationship with you. And so if that's happening right within the email client, there's a higher chance for you to retain, keep them on the list, and keep them happy with your brand.
And for those of you following GDPR and CCPA, if you have customers that are receiving transactional emails from you, but you don't have permission to mail them anything promotional, then put a sign up in your transactional messages, and you can actually have a form right there within the email to collect their permission right there on the spot without them ever having to leave the inbox.
Progressive profiling. Marketers complain all the time, I don't have the data I need for segmentation and personalization. It can be a part of your onboarding campaign. Make it easy to figure out your basic criteria for simple segmentation. Let us know what products you're interested in. Let us know who you are, your location, boom, boom, boom. All of that can happen right within the email client.
And I'm a big fan of the idea of user-generated personalization. If you show a t-shirt within the email, maybe they want to see handbags, giving them the ability to kind of toggle and see different things would be really interesting, similar to like the Lending Tree example. Choose your own adventure. I think this would be so empowering to consumers.
So as you can tell, we're pretty amped for AMP, y'all.
Stoked. So stoked. So we're getting to the frothy layer of being a strategist. Here's why I'm most excited about AMP. It's going to change the way we think about the email conversion funnel. So this is a very simplified funnel, I get it, but every touch point within the funnel is an opportunity for your subscribers to either move forward or to fall out. And so the idea of AMP is that clicks and conversions are going to combine. They're gonna flatten. So this conversion funnel is gonna collapse a bit. We're gonna reduce that friction, and we're gonna have a tighter conversion funnel that will, as the use cases that we showed, actually do drive more engagement and conversion. So I think this is probably the single biggest reason why I'm excited about AMP, just that frictionless, getting them right to what they wanna buy or do.
So April, would you like to know the single reason that I'm most excited for AMP?
I'm so ready for this.
Would you like to know? Yeah. Movement toward email client standardization, y'all. Can I get an amen? Right? This is what drives us most crazy as email marketers, right? Our good friends at Email on Acid provided us with some fun screenshots of the pain that we all endure. There are approximately 1.6 bajillion different email clients out there. They all render differently, right? The standards exist for browsers, they don't exist for email, and that's why we're using solutions like Email on Acid to see how they look. So we're going through, oh, let's see how my creative looks. Oh, it looks good in this Gmail application for Android or iOS, and long animation, should have sped that up. All right, and then you see this. Oh, we got this crazy background images popped out. It's all wonky, the wrong width, broken image link, right?
So much FML.
Exactly, right? We have all experienced this, and it is maddening. So this is what makes email hard, right? We are big-time problem solvers, and it's difficult. Now just imagine it looked the same in every email client, and that's what's happening. As those AMP MIME types are becoming supported by email clients, it looks the same everywhere. It functions the same everywhere. Is it going to get harder before it gets easier? Yes, yes, until we have that full adoption, which we're feeling confident might happen because of the amount of progress we've seen already in less than a year.
So I wanted to inspire you on another point, one last point. How many of you feel like the people in your company treat you like you're a button pusher? That you're very operational? I saw my tweet got shared this morning about just send an email. I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. I've got a 21-step process to share with you that gets stuck in these approval processes along the way and takes, yeah, anyway, you get it. So no more button pushers, like enough. We are now going to be leaders of strategy and experience. Because a lot of these capabilities, your counterparts on the marketing roster or the product teams are not going to know how to do this. And they're not even going to know it exists. And so you can really start to be the orchestrator of some really great frictionless customer experiences in ways that your counterparts cannot.
Because AMP for email is the biggest thing happening to email since the creation of email, since our friend Gary spammed 400 of his nearest and dearest friends.
It's like the bread's finally getting sliced.
So we have heard that there are some of you who just are not as amped for AMP as we are. Anyone want to call themselves out in this moment? All right, I see ya. I see you, Newt.
And that's okay. No judgment. No judgment.
We're going to address a few of these concerns. We only have a few minutes left. We can't go through this entire list. We are more than happy to chat with any of you one-on-one. I'm going to be writing about this in the future, so look for those articles somewhere, if anyone would like to publish them. But let's address a couple of them. Added complication to already complicated code bases, increased production time. That's true. So you have to choose your use cases wisely. But also, if you're using an ESP that has a very complicated code base, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, ask yourself why it's so hard. New technology exists that is just as powerful, if not more powerful. That does not make it that hard, and it frees you up to do more cool shit.
iOS doesn't support it, sadly, and I'm an Apple user. So we don't know if this list of mail clients that are going to support it is going to expand beyond the ones that we showed earlier. But my hope is, as more marketers start to use it and there's more engagement, that we'll see other providers start to offer it as well.
Yeah, Google says it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation. Some companies are saying, hey, we want to see more senders sending it out. Some are saying we want our users demanding it. So I think they're going to get there. They're Google, right? They're driving this, and they're very powerful and influential, and they're already making headway with Microsoft. Why wouldn't they make headway with Apple as well? I believe in them. Here's some others. If AMP is always updating, why would anyone continue to send email, right? It's kind of like a website inside of the email client. I did learn that an AMP email is only good for 30 days, so we do still have reasons to keep sending email out on the reg. Also, I don't trust Google. We just had this conversation. I get it. right? I feel the pain. There's concern that there's a single company controlling this and taking ownership of something that's going to change our industry. That's scary. The conversations I've had with them, I find very heartening. The gentleman that I've been talking to expressed a sincere desire to collaborate with the email community, with the other email clients, and we all have a shared goal, which is an excellent experience for our shared users, our subscribers. We have the same audience as them, and so they want to come together and make that happen. A lot of people feel very suspicious about that. I understand, but I would urge you to come to this idea with an open heart, as they have. And if you're interested in asking them questions, we're not super technical people. We know what we know and we know what we don't know. These guys are the pros. They are accessible to you. This is unparalleled, you guys. We've never had an email client say, we want to help you, we want to communicate with you, we want to address and alleviate your concerns, and we want you to tell us how to do it better. We can all be a part of this, and they are available to you to communicate with. So what can you do right now? Well, we are out of time, but you are going to get these slides. But we do want to tell you quickly, it doesn't matter what your job is, right?
Yeah, doesn't matter what your job is, you're now going to be in the UX biz now as a result of some of these changes. It's happening. So we want you all to be the early adopters, to share your cool use cases and realize the benefits of it early on.
Yeah, we know that the folks who come to a conference like UNSPAM, you are the innovators in this space. Now, if you want to be giving consideration to AMP for email, here are some questions you might want to ask yourself. We don't have time to talk through them, but you're going to get these slides. So if you want to evaluate whether it's a good idea now in the short term or the long term, these are some starting points for that conversation with your internal leadership. This is all the documentation that you need to learn AMP. And even if you're not a super technical person, I would urge you to try it out. If you know just enough about HTML and CSS to be dangerous, check it out. You can go and play on the playground, the AMP playground, at amp.gmail.dev/playground, and start building AMP emails right now.
And Stripo has a playground as well with some cool WYSIWYG tools that they just put on their open website. So lots of fun places to go and explore.
One fun fact, though, is if you do want to send AMP for email, you need to get whitelisted by each of those email clients that are supporting it. You need to go back to the documentation for information on where to send those. And depending on how good your AMP is, it could be a very brief process or it could take a few weeks. So that's what we got to tell you about AMP for email. Thanks for being awesome.
Thank you.